Alright, let's talk about vape teams with Farina. We're here with Farina and Masanori, and when I say vape teams, I actually don't mean reverse vape like one normally would expect. I actually mean forward vape because that's much more hilarious to play. So, we're gonna do that. We're gonna get the hire out. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do some big dick healing with Baizhu. And now I can decide to just stick to forward vaping with Farina on field in order to get the, in order to get the EM share that Farina can get from Nahida. Or I could just stick to off-field with Farina in order to get that 25% extra skill damage bonus from Golden Troop. So as you could see in that demonstration, they were both yielding some pretty good results. Because my Farina build doesn't have a whole lot of EM, generally speaking, I would try to stick to on-field Farina whilst Nahida's ult is active because that should get me a better bonus. And so with a team like that, it's essentially like forward vape Neuvillette, except unlike Neuvillette, who actually wants to have usually 3 different elements unless you have C1, this team is a team where you absolutely can just get away with 2 different elements instead. You could also potentially use not just 2 Dendro characters, but you could potentially use 2 Pyro characters. If only we had a Pyro healer. No one springs to mind. So unfortunately, we're going to have to stick to 2 Dendro characters because Baizhu exists and he's really good. Of course, alternatively, you could use Yao Yao. And at that point, actually, it might not be such a bad idea to use Yao Yao because using Yao Yao's ult is not really any DPS loss because you're not really needing to have Farina on field necessarily. But of course, Baizhu be Baizhu, and also because I have C1 Baizhu, therefore I was able to use the skill twice. I lost a 50-50 that I was trying to lose, or rather, I won a 50-50 that I was trying to lose, and thus I'm suffering from success. That's how I got C1 Baizhu. Baizhu is a really good choice. Yao Yao is a perfectly acceptable choice as well. That's kind of where we're at. You could also use Jean if you want, instead of Baizhu, because Jean is obviously a really good healer, but just like how in full vape Neuvillette teams, it's not really necessary to bring Kazuha because of Nahida, if you're using Nahida's overwhelming Dendro application. Bringing Jean doesn't really do anything aside from healing, so consider that, in my case, C1 Baizhu is just such a significantly easier healer who also brings some shielding as well, and a bit more Dendro application. I will stick with Baizhu in a team like this. Now, I can already see some people in the comments, because I usually actually find these kinds of comments, that this team was very, very expensive. Not just because you had Farina, but also you had Baizhu, C0 or C1, doesn't really matter. You had Baizhu, you had Nahida, in my case C2 Nahida, but still, you had Nahida, and of course you had the hire. So, is there a way of achieving forward vape Farina with a cheaper team? Yes, there is. Here again. And this team is Sunfire Jean with Xiangling, because why not? And so, in this team, you absolutely do not need to be on-fielding Farina at all, because that serves no real purpose. Because Sunfire will maintain the Pyro app, and Xiangling as well, because Xiangling is Xiangling. And so you don't actually need to be on field with Farina at all, because you're not going to get any real interesting bonus by on-fielding Farina, because unlike the previous version of a forward vape Farina team, where you had Nahida, and thus you had Nahida's big EM bonus, well, Jean's not doing anything. And you can't use Bennett's buff unless you want to do normal attacks, in which case, maybe? But the attack bonus from Bennett is not really going to do anything. So you might as well just keep Farina off field. Yeah. And at that point, as I demonstrated, just trying to battery the team with Bennett and Jean is pretty much the way to go. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments below. Do you play forward vape Farina? Let me know in the comments. For obvious reasons, I'm going to stick to the one that involves Baizhu, Nahida, and the hire. And for those who are wondering what those obvious reasons are, it's because I despise Bennett. He's boring and extremely cringe. So I'm not going to play him. In fact, it disgusts me that I even used him in this video at all. Okay, anyway, yeah, I think this is a pretty solid team. And it should be able to clear Spiral Abyss, and not only, especially if you play the Virgin version, will you be doing a lot of big hits with Farina. Once again, you'll be getting some pretty nice damage coming out of the Haya through the Virgins, because Virgin is actually pretty good. So my Dahaya is built full EM with Flowers of Paradise Lost and Sack Greatsword. And the day that I actually manage to lose some 50-50s and actually get C2 Dahaya is of course the day that I will be giving her an EM Greatsword, like, I don't know, Rain Slasher, or Melt Flower. But Melt Flower at the moment is being used by Dory quite a lot, so that's probably not going to happen. But either way, the idea is to give her a more offensive Claymore. If I ever manage to get C2 Dahaya, then that's going to be really good. Otherwise, my Farina will continue to be just a very straightforward, really solid, all-round build that seems to be doing everything that she needs to do. But yeah, pretty happy with this team, and I think it's a lot of fun. Otherwise, hope you guys enjoyed. If you like this video, hit that like button, subscribe for more Genshin Impact action, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye!
Strike a pose! Let the world come alive! Make yourselves a room!
Seems like an emergency. A bitter pill to swallow.